Welcome to the Geek and Review, the podcast focused on innovative and creative ideas in the legal industry. I'm Greg Lambert, and I have a special show here. We're gonna drop this show a little early this week, and I have with us this week Ed Walters from vLex. Ed's been on the show multiple times, so we'll welcome back Ed.
Thanks, Greg. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. So we talked earlier this week and made sure that we could get you on because the vLex has a kind of a number of upgrades that are coming out for the autumn 2024 release. And so I wanted let's do a little show and tell on some things that are going on. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what advancements vLex is launching. Autumn.
Yeah, so in the autumn 2024 release, this is much more of a platform. I mean, you'll see like a lot of new workflows, but I would say that the Vincent AI until this point has been an amazing research tool. I think one of the best in the world. Very proud of what we've done up until now. The autumn 2024 release is really more like a platform. It is not just research tasks. There's drafting tasks. There's transactional tasks. You'll see all kinds of cool redlining tools. And then sort of beyond that, there are major kind of architectural upgrades. For example, prompt assist. If you ask a question that could have a number of different meanings, Vincent AI will focus that. It will ask follow-up questions to you. It will say, I think this is what we're trying to do here before going and running the task. So users have that kind of control and can see and can audit, exactly what's being prompted behind the scenes.
So on the prompt assist, and I kind of know the answer to this because we talked about it before, but we're both big fans of tools like Perplexity, where you're using AI on the open web. And one of the things that I really like is that I can give it a good solid question or a good prompt and say, go out and search this and bring me back information on that. But one of the things that I've really enjoyed with it is it gives me like 4 or 5 really good follow-up questions to ask. Sometimes things I would know to ask, but sometimes it's not some things I know to ask, especially if it's in an area that I'm not familiar with. So is it similar to what users see in a tool like Perplexity?
Exactly. And I think, like Perplexity, it will show the hypothesis, it will show what we think you're asking, and it will ask follow-up questions. If you say, what are the risks in this contract? Vincent AI will come back and say, risks to whom? Do you represent party A or party B? And I'll show you the kind of risk profile based on that. But it's no longer just kind of all of that stuff is being processed behind the scenes and you can't really see it and you don't really know if you're getting what you were asking. I would say related to that, Vincent in the autumn 24 release also includes multi-turn questions. So if you ask a question and get something back, now you can also ask follow-up questions. You can drill it down, specify I want it more like this or this different voice. And that's also really important. And I think the two things you'll see here are really based on user control. You and I have had this conversation before. It's very important to us that we're building kind of ethical, trustworthy, responsible AI tools. And the hallmark of that, as you've heard me say before, is really transparency, auditability, accountability. And so with prompt assist and with these kind of multi-turn conversations, you really have that kind of hallmark of transparency and auditability.
Yeah. I want to drill down a little bit into, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday and we were talking that workflow tools seem to be the, kind of the soup du jour of the legal market right now. It's much more focused on workflow. So before I ask you about what you're doing, I want you to define what you're meaning by workflow tools. What when you say workflow, what are you meaning when it comes to what Vincent is doing here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when people are using these tools, they're not usually trying to edify themselves. If I do a research task, it's not to make myself a smarter lawyer. If I'm analyzing a red line, it's not, because I have an academic curiosity. Usually I'm trying to put something together. I am writing a response brief. I am trying to make the next turn of this red line. It's not about the kind of research task separated from the work. It puts it right in the work. If I'm drafting a response and I asked an associate for a research memo, and that associate came back and delivered a stack of papers that I would then read and synthesize for myself and be better informed to draft a reply or something. That's helpful, but it's not as helpful as here's a draft of the reply based on my research that you can now edit. And that's the difference to me between like research and workflow. But workflow tools start the process so that lawyers and information professionals are like in the process of doing what they're doing, not outside that process.
Okay. All right. So well, let's talk a little bit about the workflow tools, because I know you have things like analyzing contracts, exploring a collection. You got analyze a deposition, building an argument. What are some of the tools that you're most proud of? And then if you want to jump in and show some, you can share your screen if you want.
Yeah, sure. Well, so I'll just say that this is not like adding a couple of new workflow tools into Vincent. This is, I think, something like triple or quadruple the number of different kinds of tools that are available. And this is really more of a platform than a discrete set of individual tools. So now when you are, working on a contract, you can analyze red lines, you can analyze the contract itself, you can put together elements of the closing binder when the contract is done. When you're working on litigation, you can do the same sort of research tasks as before, but now you can begin drafting the responses, you can analyze opponents' briefs, you can do all kinds of follow-up work. You can find things that are related to this litigation in docket alarm. And this might be the other thing that I should really add in a big way. This is the first time you're really starting to see the union of vLex's in Vincent AI and docket alarm. For the first time, we're pulling these docket alarm skills into Vincent. We're calling it VITA, Vincent in docket alarm. Mm. There was a small dissenting faction inside of vLex that wanted to call it Diva. Dockets and Vincent AI. But we're going to call it VITA. And so these Vincent tools in docket alarm, in the 825 million dockets, briefs, motions, complaints, answers from that litigation workflow are now, you're starting to see them in the Vincent platform as well. And I'll show a couple of those. That's also pretty exciting.
Okay.
Let's kick it off. May I show?
Let's jump in
to the show and tell.
Show part of the show and tell.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So you'll remember Vincent AI as being like 3 or 4 excellent workflows in the past. Now you'll see. And first of all, you can just right off the bat do anything. You can start typing like right here. What would you like to do? And you can just sort of ask the question. You will recall this is not just a tool for the U.S. It has been a tool that is global. When we first launched it, it was U.S., UK, Spain, and Ireland. Now we're adding all these other countries. With this autumn 24 release, we're also adding France, Portugal, and Brazil. You can search any one of these.
To search them, do you need to enter it in French or Portuguese?
That's a great question. No, you can actually query them in any language. This is the Vincent AI database is a vector, which is like kind of in math that creates this concept-based map of all of the concepts, of all the ideas in the statutes and judicial opinions. It doesn't really matter what language it's in. So I can search the French database in English. I would get authorities in French, summarized in English with an answer in English.
Okay.
And I can actually search the U.S. Spain and France. And all of the individual documents will be in their native languages, but they'll all be summarized in my language, in my case, English. And then you get back the answer in English. But you can flip that as well. If you're in the Jackson Walker office in Spain and you are a native Spanish speaker, you can search in Spanish over the US database and get back answers in Spanish. I think that's unique. I mean, I think Vincent is the only kind of global platform where the laws of many different countries are available in a single platform, which for global law firms is very powerful.
Yeah, I think for that, it is very unique at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we will continue to push people to, we'll drag them into the future. But at least for right now, we are way out ahead of the market. Those are all discrete search tasks and other platforms.
All right.
Let me show a couple of these.
So, yeah, please do.
So you'll recognize a few of these, like the kind of research questions and build an argument. But now we have these tools like the analyze a contract or redline analysis. A native 50-state survey. If I run a question in all 50 states, I can get back the answer in a table that summarizes, in 10 minutes, all of the law for all 50 states. The Autumn 24 release also includes collections for the first time. Instead of working on a single document, I can add an entire folder of documents. Here I've got 22, but I have 22 under them as well.
Okay.
And so here I can say, if all of these documents, what is the salary, compensation, rates, Steve-Evo, we'll go through the entire collection and pull out from, across multiple documents, right, the answer to this question based on the entire collection. And one thing I'll show while this is running is, in addition, there is an M&A due diligence feature in here as well.
Now, one of the things while this is coming up, one of the things that generative AI was notorious for, and may still be, is that, especially when it comes to extracting specific information, if it doesn't find that information, it may make up that information. So how are you kind of, if you're looking for the CEO's salary, if it's not in there, how do you keep it from making it up?
That's a great question. I think that one of the most powerful features in Vincent AI is the answer, I don't know. And we built it from scratch to say, if you don't, we're building confidence scores into all these answers. If the confidence score is not very, very high, it's instructed to say, I don't know, not to create an answer or to give a low confidence answer.
Okay. And then also in your answer, and I'm sure you're about to show this, can you cite back to the document where it's finding the information?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me show you actually in the analyze a contract feature. I'm going to drag in an asset purchase agreement. This is the Garden City Hospital asset purchase agreement. It's a PDF. Vincent right away identifies this as an asset purchase agreement between Garden City Hospital and Prime Healthcare Services. And then automatically it says, here are some things we can do with this transactional document, this asset purchase agreement. And you can see this is all based on what kind of document it is. This is not, for just anything. So when I say, show me all of the post-closing obligations, if my law firm did an asset purchase agreement, at the end of the process, I would have a couple of team members go through and read the contract and say, now Garden City, here are some things we need to do after the closing. And that might take a couple of lawyers, couple of days to go through and identify, what's required of the parties after the closing. We just did it in I don't know, what was that, 30 seconds?
Maybe 30 seconds, maybe 40, 45.
Anyway, but this was your point before. For every one of these obligations, we are citing back chapter and verse, what section of the asset purchase agreement that obligation derives from. And if you've ever done one of these, by the way, I mean, I don't know if your listeners are familiar with APAs, but there's not like a section that says post-closing obligations. Here's a list of them. You can see we're pulling this from multiple sections of the contract, and these are based on business kind of deep understanding of what's going on in an asset purchase agreement.
Gotcha. Now, one of the things that you mentioned in the press release that went out is that you can create these multi-document collections like we're seeing here. And you can enable teams to store and work with playbooks. You can have them work with knowledge management resources and document libraries such as style guides. So, can you talk to me a little bit more about kind of the use cases that you see with these collections?
Yeah. So the idea with a collection is that sometimes you have a team that is working on something together. I think especially big matters, if you're doing like a due diligence project or you are working on like kind of a complex transactional deal, it's not going to be like one document that you're working from, right? They'll have like leases and, HR obligations. They'll have environmental risk mitigation. There'll be like a bunch of different documents that the team is working from. And so with collections, instead of each person like individually uploading all of those documents, you can create like a secure repo for those documents in Vincent AI, and then control who in your team has access to it. And then they can all work from that same set collaboratively instead of individually on those documents.
Okay. That sounds very interesting. So what do you want to show us next?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's way too much to show each individual one, but I will just point out, this is not just research tasks now, and this is now transactional documents. There are docket tasks in here. One of the things I'm really excited about, I'm previewing it today, but these Vita skills, there's so much information, it's so much intelligence baked into the experience database of dockets. For litigators, have a lot of information about what different parties do in their litigation strategy, how law firms approach litigation, what judges do. And I think in the past, we've seen like individual point solutions for this. But now I think for the first time with these Vita tasks, you can use Vincent AI to understand in a deep way what a lawyer does, what a law firm does. If you want to find something that is like a case that you're working on, you can use Vita to pull similar matters. And so this is new. I think in the past we have kind of pre-chewed analytics about docket information. And they're great to me. In some sense, Docket Alarm is a tool that does that as well.
Right.
But I think because of the size of that database, and because we have invested, probably at this point a decade in structuring all of that data using Sally tags, we are able to derive these really interesting AI insights from that data in a way that no one's been able to do before. Not in a pre-chew way, but in a way that allows, individual lawyers or information professionals, law librarians to create their own queries, their own research tasks that will search across everything in Vincent and then return these just kind of amazing insights.
Yeah, I could see something like this, and this is just me talking off the top of my head, knowing what you've shown me so far. But I could also see our marketing team wanting to get in on this and look at experience, not just for ourselves, but maybe others. I could see our recruiting team looking at this as well to find experts in the field that may be out, if we're trying to plug a hole, that might be a way. Are you seeing beyond just the legal research and just the analytics for the case at hand, an expanded view of what a law firm or others could use Vincent and Vita for?
Absolutely. I mean, so in some ways, um, we have created a generation of tools that will go through, and the whole company is based on creating one kind of insight from that data, and then law firms subscribe to the product that does that one slice. I'm just doing expert witnesses. I'm just doing insights about judges. I'm just doing competitive intelligence about another law firm. I'm just doing kind of information for lateral hires about what litigators are very good. And what I'm saying here is that exactly as you point out, Vincent document one allows you to do all of them, like all in one place, but we're a bigger document set than anyone's got.
Excellent. And speed, I can tell already this is faster than it used to be.
Yeah, by a lot. This is in some sense because the LLMs have gotten faster. But you'll see the responses are much faster. I'm currently not showing it off. I'm running one of the slowest things you can do, like an entire 50-state survey. This would take, I don't know, the person year or something. It's 50 different tasks behind the scenes. You saw the prompt assist when I ran that query. Dixon said, like, here's what I think you're asking, and if it is, check this box and let's go. This one might take 10 minutes, but what's going to go through and do is answer this question in Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, all 50 states. And then it will create a summary table that shows all the answer in about 10 minutes. But then for each one of them, you can pull the research memo and see the citing sources. You can see all the authorities behind that answer. You can get a full research memo answering the question just for Alaska, just for Arkansas. And critically, if we're asking something on the frontier and there's no good answer, we'll actually say for some jurisdictions, there's not really anything here. It won't invent something or hallucinate something.
Right. Yeah. In 50 state surveys, and I'm going outside the press release now, I think is one of the things that it's one of the things that most of our, especially business clients, want, but it's one of those things that nobody wants to do.
Yeah.
They don't want to. We don't want to charge them a huge sum of money to do it. They don't want to pay a huge sum of money to do it. But traditionally, it takes a lot of effort to create and maintain 50 state surveys, especially on nuanced ideas. So, in your view, do you see this type of action tool helping kind of solve that pain point that we have with our clients, where we know it has to be done? It's really hard. It's really expensive, but we really don't want to charge for it, and we really don't want to spend a lot of time on it. It's this weird paradox when it comes to this. So,
yeah, totally.
Where do you see tools like this taking and approaching that problem?
Well, so I think you've really hit the nail on the head. If you're representing ExxonMobil, their research questions, the things they need to, scan the horizon for aren't just in Texas. They're in all 50 states. They've got operations everywhere. And so they need to know what the law is everywhere. They need to track developments, in all 50 states. And so nobody wants to run the 50 state research projects, and nobody wants to rerun them every month, every week. But I think if you have a tool that does that kind of grunt work for you, that sort of takes care of that behind the scenes, that creates like a new kind of product that your firm can offer to clients, that makes it much easier. Now, it'll take about 10 minutes to run, but in 10 minutes, I will have like a complete answer for all 50 states.
Right.
And that creates a new product that my firm can offer to clients. We can then say, like, we will scan the horizon for you on 10 issues. and just run this search once a month, once a week. We get alerts for things that are new. And man, I mean, that's just a recipe for happier clients. I get it for 50 states, but I have to do the same thing across the 13 different country jurisdictions. Exxon also has operations in France and Portugal and Brazil. So this now allows I think, maybe a mid-sized firm to add like a global footprint for the first time, representing those clients.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to empower law firms that offer these services to be more helpful to clients and to win more business.
I want to go back real quick to the prompt assist, or not the prompt assist, the new multi-turn conversation feature.
Right.
Is there a limit on the number of follow-ups that you can do? Because I know in some other products, there's like 3 to 5 follow-ups, maybe 10 follow-ups, which probably if you're at 10, you need to probably start over. Anyway, unless you're drilling, unless you're really drilling down. But yeah, do you see, what is the good part of that? And then also, I think, what would you kind of advise your users to be careful of with that? Because you can kind of go down a rabbit hole, I think.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think maybe taking the good counsel of Vincent here, I will say I'm not really sure of the answer. I have not faced that question before, and no one on our team has said to me, hey, the multi-turn thing has a limit of 5 turns or 10 turns. So I'm not aware that there's any limit. But with that said, our team might have built something architecturally behind the scenes.
Okay.
We'll counsel like the risk of multi-turn conversations is that if you really wanted to, try to break this, if you got to like the 50th turn or something, you probably could have, if you were trying to push it to do something screwy, 50 turns in a multi-turn conversation, you probably could.
Yeah.
But again, like the idea here is that it should be extremely useful for users. Not that you couldn't abuse it with fire. I mean, it's obviously useful for a million things. Can it be abused? Sure. I mean, that doesn't mean that it's not hyper useful.
Okay. Any other cool features you want to show, or?
Yeah, well, so I think maybe the last one I'll show is analyze a complaint. You've probably seen this before, but this is an update to it. Okay. So if I want to pull in the complaint for Yoast versus Google, what'll happen here is, obviously Vincent reads the complaint and figures out what it is, what kind of lawsuit it is. And then just like a good law firm would, it will go through and analyze it. It will figure out, like, show me all the claims, extract a timeline of the facts. If I represent Google in this case, right, I might say, show me the defenses for each claim, or give some advice about legal strategy, about next steps. Or I can do research tasks based on that complaint. I could say, this is based on a reading of that complaint. It's a complaint for a violation of privacy under California law. Here's a good example. Propose defenses to each claim by who you represent. So I'm going to say that represents Google. So I picked it here, Google LLC. But so this will go through and we'll create a set of it will go through and create a set of defenses that are specific to Google. And it would be different, obviously, for each defendant in the lawsuit. But I can go through and I can continue to ask these kinds of questions about individual defenses. I think you and I have run this together a couple of times. It used to take about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, I was
now
going
you
to say,
can see it's obviously
this is a
much
lot faster. Is this jurisdictional based? Can you limit it to specific jurisdictions?
Yeah, here is choosing California law because it can see the complaint is filed in California courts, but it's actually going through for each one of them and saying like, this one is a cause of action under the California Business and Professional Code. So I'm going to do the defenses under California law. If it was a federal court that had federal and state claims, it would do the same thing. You would, pull the defenses based on where the cause of action stems from.
And should, for some reason, the complaint not have enough information, would it follow up with additional questions, or is that something that the user would have to do?
I think the user would probably have to do that here. But again, because it's multi-turn, I can go through and I can say, tell me more about the intrusion upon seclusion claim.
Excellent. So
there's a lot here. I mean, Greg, I will walk you through
I was going to say I don't have you all day and half of tomorrow to go through all of these. So and so Ed, I wanted to thank you very much for taking the time today to. Do we have our 50 state?
Yeah, I went and did something else, but Vincent was working in the background to finish the 50 state survey. And as you can see, for every one of the states, I get like a summary answer in a table, but I can pull the full answer.
I was going to say, what can you export it in? Because that tends to be, I think we still, unfortunately, work in spreadsheets when it comes to 50 state surveys.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I mean, I think that's the right way to do it. So for the 50 state survey, when I get the answer, I think it is downloadable into Excel, maybe. I don't know. I'll go back and check that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's the place where it should live.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say. Well, if not, I'm sure we've got good people in our.
No, I mean, Vince should take care of that. We should be doing that behind the scenes. So maybe to put a bow on this.
Follow up
Here's my closing argument to you, Greg.
Sure.
So you've seen these kinds of tools in Vincent before, and other tools too, right? This is really not the addition of a couple of more workflow tools. This is the first time Vincent is really a platform. It is not just a platform for research, although the research skills are amazing. It is now a platform for all kinds of legal work. Analyzing redlines, doing transactional documents, putting together closing binders, doing research. It is not just in the US, it is around the world. It localizes for each jurisdiction. If Jackson Walker London office is using it, they will spell and analyze with an S instead of a Z. But also, if you're using it in Spain, it will be in Spanish, and you can work in Spanish. So I think, in my prior role at Fastcase, I think our bread and butter, the place where we were most popular, was small law firms who used Fastcase like crazy. And that's still the case. I mean, Fastcase is still by far the most popular legal research service among small firms. With the Vincent AI tools, with vLex's, we also are finding like a very strong foothold in the world's largest firms, in global law firms who represent clients around the world. We don't have just a question for Florida, but we have a question for all 50 states or across the European and Latin America. And so, in a way, we are now sort of serving the top of the market and in size and the smallest law firms, and kind of, converging on the middle market as well. So law firms that have been sort of regional firms for a while now can do global work. This is a really interesting development for the market. Yeah. I think that the incumbents in this market have very strong brand advantages in distribution, but Vincent AI is better. And in this autumn 24 release, like a lot better. And these guys are, they're working on their products. They're making announcements about things they're going to do in the future. We deployed this last week. Law firms have been using the Orange 24 release.
Okay, so it's already out.
Yeah, they've been using this for a while. We don't really do vaporware. So we are announcing stuff that we have already done and that our clients are already using. And so this is a place where I think we are maybe punching above our weight a little bit. We are not a multi-billion-dollar global conglomerate, but I think our tools are more global and better than the tools from those incumbents.
Awesome. Well, Ed Walters from vLex, I appreciate you coming in and giving us a little show and tell on the autumn 2024 release for vLex and Docket Alarm, and now Vita. Although, Diva, might for the fall 2025 release, maybe we switch the name out. So if the listeners and viewers want to learn more about it, what's the best place for them to reach out?
Yeah, so you can go to vlex.com /Vincent, and you'll see all the information about Vincent AI there. Maybe in the show notes, there's a knowledge base for each individual skill, so you can get more information about what they do. And if you include a link to that, you can find very specific information about each one of these workflow tools.
Right. Well, again, thank you. I'll make sure I put those in the show notes. So thanks again, Ed.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. And thanks to everyone for listening and watching the show and tell today. We'll be back with Marlene with our regular show next week. And so thank you very much.